defenses are playing you guys any differently past few games?
Not terribly differently. I do think they're towards the latter part of, you look at the latter part of the Kansas game, and I think there's a little bit more pressure than maybe what they typically had done. You look at the latter part of the Houston game, and, maybe a little bit more where they're loading the box. And how much was it, what the weather was like? How much was it some of our challenges that we had getting the ball to the perimeter in that particular game? Those are all things that you analyze.
Is there anything in particular in regards to dealing with pressure and loaded boxes that you feel like you guys need to do better?
Yeah, I do. One thing is we need to stay on blocks much better. When you look at that and credit our last opponent, and quite honestly our last two opponents, is I think that they were both very good up front. We knew going into it they were going to be very good up front, and we need to do a better job of executing. And we need to do a better job of being more physical at the point of contact. It's kind of one of those things where we're getting a double hat on a guy, and we just didn't get that much movement. And that's something that certainly we've emphasized and we've worked, and we need to be much better at.
So they play with 4 down, 2 safeties, and a nickel, kind of lead the team and tackles. What do they do especially well there?
Well, when you look at their nickel and their safety, who I believe are their top 2 leading tacklers. Both of them are very aggressive. Both of them are very physical. They're very active. I think they're extremely well coached. I've, coached against this defensive coordinator. He was at University of Nevada in 2021. Prior to that, he was at Western Illinois when I was at North Dakota State, and I just think he does a phenomenal job. I know the linebackers coach personally, and he's a great coach as well. So I think they're very well coached, and I think they play very fast and play very aggressive.
Coach, some of your offensive linemen seem to take that last game pretty hard. How do you think they've responded over the past 2
I think
games?
they've responded very well. I've been very pleased with how they've responded, and they should, and as have all of us. You look at how that game unfolded throughout it, and when we are called upon as an offensive line to run the football, we weren't nearly as efficient as we needed to be at that particular time.
In the past few weeks or even the month, have you discovered anyone that you're able to bring up in practice with the regulars on a regular basis?
Yeah, you see that, especially coming out of a bye week, you're starting to see guys who are really developing more and more. This past week and for the past few weeks, and I can speak, to myself. I'll start kind of there. Gus Hawkins is doing a really, really good job. Navarro Shunke, both guys who have taken some of those reps. We did some developmental stuff last week where I really thought those guys did some fantastic things. And Trey Spivey's going to have more of an opportunity. You just see him continuing to play with more and more confidence. And his knowledge of the offense is continuing to get better. And very, very pleased with him. I think Joe Jackson, his role is continuing to improve as well.
In terms of the wide receivers, what do they need to do to become a little bit more consistent?
I think it's to say, okay, maybe it's the wide receivers. I think collectively as an offense, and it falls directly anytime that you don't have success. The first place you need to look is right at yourself. And, is it the wide receivers? Is it, the offensive line? Is it, maybe a running back missing one, maybe going the wrong way? Is it an interception? Whatever the case might be. And it comes down to us executing and being more physical. And that starts obviously up front, and it works its way out into the perimeter.
Avery's rush attempts numbers have been all over the place the last couple of weeks. Has that totally been dictated on matchups, or is it something else?
Yeah, a little bit of it is what is the defense giving us. When you start getting into some of the read game, and I thought that they had a pretty good plan last week, whereas opposed to 2 weeks ago. So some of it is dictated on that. Anytime that you have a quarterback and you say, okay, Do we every single week have dedicated, what you'd call dedicated quarterback run? Absolutely, you do. And I still contend you need to be very measured when you're using those tools. And then you have a little bit more of the read game. And on some of the read game, you can see where he's very effective, and then you can see where some teams have done a good job of taking some of that away.